Welcome back, dear students. As we are talking about basic reading skills, my today's topic is how to find the main idea in a passage or piece of writing that you are studying. Now, this is one thing that helps you improve your comprehension. When you read, you are expected to understand what is being conveyed by the writer. So, identifying the main idea of a passage is a very essential skill for a student. So, here I am going to guide you about how you can improve your comprehension by locating the main idea in a piece of writing. So first of all, let's discuss what a main idea is, what we mean by main idea. See, first of all, you must remember that all writing is a medium of communication. Whenever you come across a piece of writing, it means it contains certain ideas by the writer. He has conveyed his ideas through writing, and he has tried to make you understand what he wants to discuss. So the main idea of a text is an assertion about the subject. So basically there are two things that you should focus on, and you should not confuse. One is subject and the other is main idea, and these two are actually different, and I'll not only explain it theoretically, but I'll also offer you a few examples in order to develop concrete understanding of this discussion. So first of all, here try to understand what a main idea is. So main idea, I said, is an assertion about the subject. So assertion is a statement that requires evidence, or in other words, proof, to be accepted as true. So whenever you make a claim about a piece of writing, you need evidence to support your stance, your viewpoint. So this is what we call assertion, that you assert, you claim, you opine, you argue that this is what the text means. And obviously, in order to convince the other person and validate your viewpoint, you need to have evidence. Now, main idea is the general idea that holds together the whole piece of writing. So this is something that is a defining characteristic of main idea. What is a main idea? A general idea that controls the whole piece of writing or paragraph or passage. This is actually the idea that is conveyed by the whole passage. This is the core of that passage, and everything else is just explanation, examples, and more information on the same idea. So as I mentioned earlier, there is a difference between the subject of a piece of writing and its main idea. Let me explain how. So first of all, I just want to give you an example passage to read, and then I'll explain what is the subject of the passage and what is its main idea. So through this example, you will be able to understand both of these concepts. So first of all, let me read out this passage for you. Today's postal service is more efficient and reliable than ever before. Mail that used to take months to move by horse and foot now moves around the country in days or hours by truck, train and plane. First class mail usually moves from New York City to Los Angeles in 3 days or less. If your letter or package is urgent, the US Postal Service offers priority mail and express mail services. Priority mail is guaranteed to go anywhere in the United States in 2 to 3 days or less. Express mail will get your package there overnight. Now, try to determine what is the subject of this paragraph and what is its main idea. So, I am going to give you a few hints, but try to pause this video here, read the passage once again and then the options that I have listed here and find your own answer before listening to the answer that I am going to offer for you. So, there are let's say 3 possibilities. What is the main idea of the passage? You can say statement number 1, express mail is a good way to send urgent mail. Second person might say that the main idea of the passage is mail service today is more effective and dependable than it was in the past. A third statement could be first class mail usually takes 3 days or less. Now, try to pause the video here, read these 3 options and then the passage and find your own answer. See, recall the definition of main idea that I mentioned in the beginning of this discussion, that it is a general idea that sort of controls the whole passage. Now, if we look at the first statement, express mail is a good way to send urgent mail. Now, first thing that you must notice, since you have read the passage, that this statement is specific about one type of service that is offered by United States Postal Service, that is express mail. Let me guide you back to the passage. See here, read this last sentence in the passage. Express mail will get your package there overnight. So, basically here the writer was talking about 2 services, priority mail and express mail services. And the statement that we have included in our 3 possible answers about the main idea of this passage is option A, express mail is a good way to send urgent mail. So, first thing is that this is not a general idea. The whole passage is not about express mail. This is only one specific idea in the whole passage, which means that its specificity is an evidence that it cannot qualify as the main idea of the passage. So, this option is eliminated. Let's move on to the second option. Mail service today is more effective and dependable than it was in the past. Now, you can probably guess that it is the general idea that is conveyed and supported with more details by the whole passage. This is actually the core point of the writer, the main idea that he wants to convey. He wants to argue for the efficiency and reliability of modern mail service in US. So, this statement has the quality to be declared as the main idea of the passage. So, that is option B is the correct answer. Now, let's move on to the fourth option, that is first class mail usually takes 3 days or less. Now, once again, this statement is about one specific idea that the writer has included in the whole passage. This is not what the passage is all about. See, a main idea is what the passage is all about, what the paragraph is all about. That is the soul of the passage. That is the center of the passage. So these are different ways to help you understand what we mean by the main idea of a passage. So two things, let me here repeat for your better comprehension. There are two qualifications in the main idea of any piece of writing. First, it is an assertion. It is a sort of claim. And when we say assertion or claim, it means it is debatable. It needs evidence and proof by the speaker who is making this claim to prove his point. And the second is that it is a general idea that the passage actually revolves around in a way. Now let's move on to our next point. How you should be able to identify the main idea of a passage. Obviously, you are a beginner, still learning these basic reading skills. So after the definition and seeing the examples, you still feel confused and less confident about how to exactly implement these ideas and grasp and identify the main idea. So here I am going to give you guidelines, easy way to spot the main idea. So you should, after reading a passage, you should ask yourself these three questions. First, what is the unifying concept of that particular piece of writing? So unifying concept is again another phrase for the same idea, that the idea should be general enough that the whole passage actually works to elaborate on that point. So it actually unifies the whole passage. That is why unifying concept. What is the dominant idea of the passage? Second, so think about it. You read the passage and then you start asking yourself this question: what is the unifying concept of this writing? What is the dominant idea? What is the central idea? Second question, is there a sort of moral or lesson in it? So try to again think about what moral or lesson the writer wants you to learn from that writing. See, every passage is certainly not about moral or does not teach you a lesson, but sometimes it does, and it is just an easy way to help you think about the main idea of the passage. The third question, are there any recurring symbols or imagery that the author is using to communicate a deeper meaning? Now this question is applicable especially when you are reading a long piece of writing. So here, like an essay, a chapter, or a piece of fiction, let's say, so you should be trying to locate the symbols or images that the writer has used repeatedly, and based on the context and the piece of writing that you are studying, try to determine what are the meanings that the writer has attached to these symbols or images, what deeper ideas he wants you to grasp. So if you follow this activity regularly for a few days, you will be able to identify the main idea in just a few seconds. Simply read the passage, ask yourself these questions, and gradually you will find yourself very comfortable locating the main idea in just no time. Another guideline that will be helpful for you. So another way of thinking about the main idea is that you should search for the topic sentence. Now again, a topic sentence is a clear statement of the main idea of a passage. It must be general enough to encompass all the ideas in that passage, and it usually makes an assertion about the subject of that passage. So here let me clarify the difference between the subject and the main idea. See, if you go back to the passage that I mentioned for you about the postal service in United States, the subject of the passage is postal service in United States, but the main idea of that passage is the writer's emphasis on efficiency and reliability and better performance, faster pace of today's postal service in comparison with the past. So again, if we try to read the passage and spot the topic sentence will tell you about the main idea. So if you read that passage once again, let me scroll back to that passage. So the very first sentence of this passage says, today's postal service is more efficient and reliable than ever before. So this is the main idea of the passage, and since this statement clearly expresses the central idea, we call it topic sentence, and all the other ideas are simply explanations and extensions of the same point. That is why it is the main idea of the passage. Now the question remains, which might occur to you, where should we find a topic sentence? Now technically there is no fixed rule about it. Many a time it can be found in the beginning, as in the passage we just read, but frequently it is found at the end of the passage as a sort of conclusion to the passage, and sometimes in the middle of the passage. So there is no hard and fast rule about the location of a topic sentence. You have to read things carefully in order to be able to spot the main idea. Now let's have another example passage for your comprehension, and here again I'll ask you to use your understanding of main idea and topic sentence and different points that I have discussed so far, and spot the main idea in this passage on your own. Eric always played cops and robbers when he was a boy. Now he is a police officer. Suzanne always played school as a little girl. Today she is a high school math teacher. Kara always played store. Today she owns a chain of retail clothing shops. Long before they are faced with the question, what do you want to be when you grow up, some lucky people know exactly what they want to do with their lives. Now I am not going to give you the answer to this question, to this passage about the main idea of this piece of writing, but I'll repeat for you 2 points that will help you spot the main idea. You can underline it, that a main idea is a general idea that is conveyed by the whole passage All other sentences, statements are just its extensions, and it should not be specific. This is what it means. And then it is an assertion, it is a claim about the passage. And another thing is the location of the topic sentence. So topic sentence contains the main idea, and it can be found at the beginning, in the beginning of the passage, in the middle, or at the end. Now read this passage once again, and you can start by pointing out or highlighting those ideas which you think are specific and cannot be declared as the main idea of the passage. So as you go through the passage, look at every sentence and decide if it can qualify as the main idea of the passage, if it is the topic sentence. So you will be able to find the answer very easily. Another thing that beginners are advised to do is create a mind map or graphic organizer for your better comprehension. This is what you do in order to train your mind and sharpen your understanding when you are learning these basic skills. See, these skills are applicable to every kind of writing, every field, even to life in general. So if you create a mind map or graphic organizer, and this is mainly useful for those students who are reading long pieces of writings, a whole chapter, a whole story, a novel. So in order to identify the main idea in a story, it can be helpful to create a story map or graphic organizer. Now in separate boxes in your graphic organizer, the things that you should include are the names of major and minor characters, or you can say major and minor points. Similarly, major and minor settings. Settings here means places. Conflicts occurring between characters. What are different ideas, arguments that are taking place between these characters. Key events, major events, and then major resolutions. What are how these issues are resolved, and then try to determine the author's purpose. Is the author's goal to entertain, teach, inform, or persuade readers to embrace a particular idea, philosophical viewpoint, or concept? So try to determine the writer's purpose, what he is trying to achieve through this piece of writing. So if you follow these different strategies, soon you will find yourself very easy to understand ideas after giving a passage one reading. So I hope you will find this discussion very helpful. Thank you very much.